We're glad to have you join us on Nationwide. We're live in Abuja, and I am Ruth Aguela. We'll begin with an update on coronavirus, but on a sad note, as Nigeria records its first death from COVID-19. A former managing director of the Petroleum Products Marketing Company, a subsidiary of the NNPC, 67-year-old Suleiman Achimugo, has died of coronavirus in the early hours of Monday. The late Achimugo had visited the United Kingdom, arrived in Nigeria 2 weeks ago, and had been in self-isolation before his transfer to University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, following presentation of symptoms and confirmation of COVID-19. Officials of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control said the family of the disease is currently quarantined. Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi has put himself in self-isolation. Now, this follows a close contact he had with Mohammed Atiku Abubakar last week in an aircraft from Lagos to Abuja. The governor's blood sample has been taken for clinical test. The federal government says it will not hesitate in going the extra length to ensure that individuals and groups comply with its directives in containing the spread of COVID-19. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this at a media briefing in Abuja. Let's hear from Anthony Forson.
In a setting far from what was the tradition at media briefings like this, the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed explained that the setting is in compliance with the social spacing directives of the federal government. And making his point, he frowned at a position that has been taken by some religious and political leaders, saying that at this stage of Nigeria's effort in containing the spread of the virus, government needs the cooperation of all Nigerians. He stressed that all those who have come in contact with anyone who has tested positive to submit themselves for proper check.
For those who will cooperate by submitting to the authorities as required, the government will use all lawful means at its disposal to trace and bring them in. The biggest assignment for us is contact tracing, to find all those who may have come into contact with those who have the disease.
The minister, however, dismissed the notion that the disease cannot affect Africans, explaining that no one is immune to the virus, citing New York as having 54% of its infected patients within the ages of 18 and 49. While Nigeria, the minister said, has refused to succumb to panic in tackling the disease, a number of steps have been taken, including travel restrictions on 15 countries with more than 1,000 cases of COVID-19, suspension of issuance of visas on arrival, cancellation of visas issued to nationals of affected countries, shutdown of its international airports, reduction of fuel price, credit of 1 trillion naira as announced by the Central Bank of Nigeria, among others. On fake news, the minister called for caution.
An audio recording that is being circulated on the social media, especially on WhatsApp, has made some bogus claims, including that Nigeria is seeking to buy used protective gears from China, waiting for money from the World Health Organization before doing anything. That Nigeria has no funds to tackle the disease because the foreign reserves have been exhausted and funds stolen. That Nigeria is understating the figures of those infected, etc. This is a most irresponsible, inaccurate, and definitely orchestrated job by a charlatan and should be discarded by all Nigerians.
With Nigeria recording its first death as a result of COVID-19, Lai Mohammed assured that the federal government is committed to containing the spread of the disease as it is on top of the situation. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And still on curtailing the spread of COVID-19, the All Progressives Congress has closed down International Secretariat for 2 weeks in compliance with the directive of the federal government on social distancing to avoid the spread of COVID-19. The National Working Committee's resolution was conveyed to the media by the National Chairman, Adam Soshomole.
So we've called basically to announce that we are closing the office for the next 2 weeks, and if the situation if we see that the numbers are not revising, we might probably still extend it. But the important is that we want to be alive, well, to be able to serve our country and to be able to service our members as a party. But because we are governing, we are a party that forms the federal government and controls majority of the states, we have additional responsibility to ensure that government programs and policies and announcements are obeyed by all Nigerians. And we as APC leaders and members must be seen to obey those advices and directives that have been given. We want to commend those governors, regardless of their party platform, that have taken cue from federal government decisions by asking workers to stay away from work.
He cautioned the staff of secretariats to follow medical advice at all times. Similarly, in line with measures being taken to safeguard the nation from the spread of COVID-19, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has directed a partial shutdown and skeletal activities at the National Secretariat from Wednesday, March 25th. A statement from the party National Publicity Secretary, Kola Ologbodiyan, also direct all PDP secretariat and offices across the country to comply with the relevant agencies of government and World Health Organization. And joining us in the studio to talk further about the coronavirus, we have Professor Abdusalam Nasidi. He's a medical virologist. Thank you very much, Prof. Always nice to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
Now, Nigeria's case, talking about coronavirus, is being put at 36. And today we recorded a death, very sad. What's your take on the present situation of this pandemic for us?
Well, first and foremost, may I, pay my condolence to the families of the deceased, and I also to seize this opportunity to praise them for a very heroic move they did to, inform the country how he died, and this will go a long way to, actually send a message to Nigerians that we are dealing with a serious business, and this disease, if we are not careful, can surprise us. Secondly, as we have been saying, it's a very new disease, and we should see that all countries that are very developed are already devastated by this disease. So now Nigeria is in the threshold, and the virus must have escaped into the communities. Therefore, at this stage, what each and every one of us to do is to listen to the advice of the WHO and the NCDC and start actually doing a lot of things for ourselves, for our own survival.
Okay, now you just said it's a new disease, but aside being new, we're beginning to see signs of it being tricky, so to say, because health professionals have come out to say that there are indications that it is airborne, which was not so before now.
Yes, actually, because it's new and we didn't know fully about, how it is being transmitted. Even the WHO was not sure if it is airborne. It says it's spread through droplets and contacts. Have now come out to say it could be transmitted, through the air route. So we shouldn't. That means again that we shouldn't take things for granted, because daily we are seeing new things about this disease, how it devastates a human being, and then how it's killing people. Then secondly, of course, those who come into the contact with the patients that should take more care are the healthcare workers. As you can see, in many countries, the proportion of the healthcare workers that are coming down with the disease because of their close contact, yes, nearer 1 meter, is rising. For instance, in Italy, almost 10% of the victims are all, from healthcare workers. In Iran, it's even worse, about 40%, and other countries, even UK, the ratio of healthcare workers coming in contact with disease and acquiring it is increasing. It's near 6-7% now. So we just believe that we don't know much about this disease yet. We don't know all that it could spin out. It's a very tricky disease. This makes it even more important that, apart from what the government is advising us to do, we are now in a stage where your personal role, in preventing you from catching this disease is very, very important. You must listen to, the social distancing messages.
Yes, I was just going to ask you about the social distancing, because, like you said, it's a new disease. A lot of people are still not certain. Even the professionals are not sure about it. Yeah. So for individuals, if we're looking at social distancing, what should we consider? Because there is this panic already.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the time not to panic, actually. This is the time to be calm and know exactly what to do. One is, they are saying stay at home if you can, and that must be observed. And there's no need to disobey it. If they disobey it, the government might not have any option but to enforce it.
Yes.
Then two, the personal hygiene is so important, so crucial. Keeping your hands neat, keeping your surroundings very clean, and so on and so forth, and decontaminating surfaces, around you. And I'm very happy that corporate organizations, government offices, like the parties, offices are even now saying stay at home.
Yes.
So we have to follow these rules. Then lastly, as deadly as the virus might be, it's also very sensitive to all the chemicals we're asking people to use. It's sensitive to soap, it's sensitive to hypochlorite, it's sensitive to hydrogen peroxide. So luckily, if you observe these hygienic procedures, you might keep yourself away from the virus and your family.
But would you term it a killer disease? Because we have seen situations where people, recover. Would you term it as a killer disease?
Well, so if you compare it to other diseases like Ebola, like Lassa, those ones kill even more. But the problem is that this one is transmitted faster and wider. So at the end of the day, the number of the people it might kill, the volume might be larger. But as of today, the case fatality rate, that's the number of people killed, let's say out of 100, how many people that catch the disease, how many will die, is officially about 2%. But in some countries it's up to 7-10%, in some countries 3-4%. But averagely now, if you go by the figures and that we are seeing officially from WHO, it's about 3 to 5%. So many people who acquire the virus they don't even have the symptom. But those who have the symptom, a lot recover. But the few that will end up with the severe pneumonia, have very little chance to survive. Just
last week, it was in 20s, and today we're recording 30-something. On a final note, Prof, what's your message to Nigerians? Where are those loopholes we must cover to ensure that the numbers decrease than increasing? Well, first and foremost, my message to the government, especially the federal government, is that we have now passed a stage of containment. We are now at the stage of mitigating the impact. They must come out to assist and make sure that we do wider social distancing, wider decontamination of not just surfaces now, but even the cities. We have to learn a lot from Chinese, from those who did well and to contain this infection. Then to the state government, and they have now seen that this thing is really spreading. Many states now are involved. The governors must be in front. Okay. They must take over the lead. And then finally, I'm repeating again, the war actually starts from you. Yes. You must obey the rules. Make sure that you keep yourself away from the virus. Thank you very much, Professor Abdusalam Nasidi. He's a medical virologist. Very nice to have you here. Thank you. And of course, the COVID-19 is one issue that will continue to raise eyebrows. And what started like an index case is now gradually becoming a scare for Nigerians, which has led to the federal government taking precautionary measures to curtail the spread of the virus in the country. Now, on the part of the individuals, there are certain measures that people must take in order to stay safe. But how will these developments affect social lives in Nigeria? It all began like a seed, sprouting gradually to become a plant. But within a twinkle of an eye, the coronavirus has sprung out, becoming a force to contend with by the entire world, ravaging lives, stealing happiness, and leaving a vacuum in a once social world. Those are the driving seed of ensuring that Nigeria's situation does not get out of hands, are leaving no stone unturned in this regard. Will it be COVID-19 lockdown? Schools are already being shut down. Churches and mosques are on a list of a possible shutdown. What will happen to birthday parties, ceremonies? We know Nigerians love to commune with one another. But with the social distancing of no hugging, no handshake, how are people coping with these new circumstances? What impact will this have on people's social lives?
I don't go out again. I don't work late nights. In January, I've not been going out late nights.
To some extent, it affects me. Maybe I want to hug somebody and just remember, oh, Corona.
We just heard about the church ban and the mosque ban. But what about market? Because differently, they cannot ban people going to markets. but they can restrict people.
I've stopped going to church and I've stopped hugging and shaking people because of the coronavirus.
Even my church, we've stopped any church activities from last week Sunday. Like last week, I was supposed to go for a wedding and I had to cancel because of the fear of coronavirus. I can't just take the risks.
Actually, I'm a free man. I don't believe in viruses.
So do you still observe handshakes, hugs?
I do. If you want to hug me, I can hug you. If you want to shake me, I can shake you. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Thank you.
All right.
Joseph may be a Doubting Thomas, but Dr. Abiye, a psychologist, sees the situation as one that is dicey. He says humans are wired to be social animals, and having this social network is crucial to human existence.
So even when we practice social distancing here in Nigeria, people will not be isolated. They will be amongst the families. So they'll be protected to some degree. The people at risk of two different categories. These are people with pre-existing mental health conditions and people who live alone, who don't have any family around.
On the flip side, what are the possibilities of leveraging on the situation?
It can also be a way to develop yourself. There are loads of courses online. You can take a course that you always wanted to take. You can read books. For children, it's very important to engage them cognitively.
Even if we are not maintaining physical contacts, there are other modern and creative ways we can stay in touch with one another. Phone conversations, text messages.
The world is dynamic and change is a constant thing in life. So let the unforeseen light at the end of the tunnel be the yardstick to shape daily existence. And like they say, no pain, no gain. In Abuja, Ruth. And more efforts have been taken to protect people from contacting coronavirus. Let's now join Major Ma'a Adamu live from Rigasa train station in Kaduna State. Major Ma'a, what's the situation there at the train station you are presently?
Yeah, Ruth, a very warm welcome to Kaduna. This is Rigasa train station. Routine train services have been ongoing ever since the area information suspending such services have been rescinded by authorities concerned. There is, however, significant reduction in terms of passenger turnout here at the train station. Another thing to observe is detailed profiling of all passengers that turn out to be evacuated to Abuja, especially trying to get all details about their particulars for easy linkages in the event of eventuality. Another thing of notice is the presence of the State Rapid Response Committee on COVID-19. Officials of that committee have been solid on ground and are even being joined now by Ladi Tanimu, one of the members of that team. Ladi, how has been the situation?
It is going smoothly. Yes, sir.
Smoothly, what do you mean by smoothly?
Passengers come in, we screen passengers that come from Abuja to Kaduna. We take their temperature, we drop hand sanitizer in their hands, we give them these flyers, that's all.
How is the status of your equipment, the tools you use, how sound are they and how adequate are they with it?
All the equipment given to us are very sound. We have enough equipment to work.
So how has been the cooperation of the passengers towards your services?
Yes, sir. Passengers are very, very happy with this development. They are very happy. Some of them ask us to tell them the temperature, the level of their temperature. They are very, very happy. There is cooperation.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any cause for alarm yet?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. All Kaduna people are very healthy. There is no problem for now. And we thank God. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, Ruth, as you have heard from the horse's mouth, Kaduna people are very healthy, and we hope to remain so. Over to you now in the studio.
Thank you very much, Major Ma. But it's unfortunate that the virus doesn't know if you're healthy or not. But it's good that people are complying with all the measures put in place. All right. Now, the Defense Headquarters say it has 4 hospitals in place to support all the healthcare facilities provided by the Federal Ministry of Health to counter the COVID-19 in Nigeria. The Coordinator of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Eneche, disclosed this while addressing journalists on updates of ongoing joint armed forces operations across the country.
4 of our military centers, hospitals have been put on standby, and they are part of the facilities for, to support the Federal Ministry of Health. The NAF Center in Abuja here along the airport road, Kaduna Reference Hospital, Port Harcourt Military Hospital, and Lagos Creek Hospital. We have 4 of them on standby with the facilities to quarantine and then to eventually treat. So, and then as a backup, like we are having in other countries to enforce, if there is going to be a lockdown, yes, we have the resources to ensure that the lockdown is effective if it comes up. Thank you.
All right, let's take another story here. Nationals dominated the largest number of passengers departing the international wing of Abuja Airport this Monday to escape restriction to international flights operations to contain the spread of coronavirus. Our aviation correspondent Emmanuel Ayimiro is standing by with an update.
Just like most international airports across the globe are under lockdown, activities at the international wing of Abuja Airport are gradually shutting down as only a few passengers are either returning or departing to be the midnight Monday deadline. Most check-in counters at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport Abuja are empty, including the ticketing sections. This, no doubt, is not far from the Monday midnight deadline to international flights to contain the spread of coronavirus pandemic. Even when only most of departing passengers are non-Nigerians, Larry and Ernest, including 16 others who went for football trials in Dubai, say they are lucky to return home.
No longer entering to Dubai. You can go out, but you can't come in. I thank God that I made it, because it was hectic getting this flight today, because it was the last flight in Dubai. So it was all thanks to God anyway. But
book our ticket. Initially we were meant to return tomorrow, but when we got to Ethiopian Airlines, they said the only available flight is today. So we had no choice, because they said they were closing all the international airports.
Came from Tanzania, Kia, that's Kilimanjaro Airport, and I followed through Ethiopia also. I think we are having one of the best proactive measures here. So we are doing well.
As the international terminal, including its tarmac, is saying bye-bye to passengers till the 23rd of April, the domestic wing, which has activated various preventive control against the spread of coronavirus pandemic, has continued to welcome and transit passengers. From the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Thank you, Emmanuel. And it's time we head to our Lagos Network Center to join Jennifer. And I'm sure she'll give us update on flight restriction there in Lagos. Jennifer?
Thank you, Ruth. And still on measures to check coronavirus, many travelers are likely to be stranded or seek alternative plans as the deadline for restriction of international flights take off. Michael Olaleye reports that the deadline takes effect from 11 o'clock this evening.
He said to Brayboard at gate E53.
The rush is understandable. Passengers are desperate to beat the lockdown on flight operations. To travelers like Michael Oladiron, desperation has turned to frustration as airline operators are nowhere to be found to ease his journey back to the United Kingdom.
I was meant to leave on Sunday, they cancelled Sunday, so I went to the office on Saturday to speak to them. Oh, sorry, we're booking for Monday. I'm here Monday now, nothing. I've been there since 5 a.m.
Most travelers who have cut short their vacation tend not to understand why the suspension of flight operations should affect outbound passengers.
We are stranded. If the government is saying, okay, people cannot come here, that's fine. However, what about people who have work to go to and families to go to?
The situation is different as the domestic wing, as travelers who usually keep this place alive have vanished into the thin air.
In the real sense of it, this place used to be a beehive, but that is gradually becoming history as the coronavirus continues to force businesses to close shops.
The coronavirus pandemic is coming at a time the aviation industry in Nigeria is showing glimpses of hope. For instance, the sector contributed 198.62 billion naira to the gross domestic product at the end of 2019, which represents 0.14%.
Financial incentives can be given, tax rebates, waivers on charges, guarantee on loans, even they can give corporate bonds.
With countries across the globe unveiling financial stimulants to put economic activities back on track, experts say the aviation industry should not be an exemption. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NT News.
Thank you, Michael. And from aviation, we go to education. Last week, the Lagos State government declared the closure of schools beginning from 23rd March 2020 to contain the spread of coronavirus. Hingino John Adams, who monitored the level of compliance, reports.
In academic settings, Mondays are usually active, but not Monday, the 23rd of March 2020. The pupils and students are home in compliance with the directive by the Lagos State government. All schools were shut down for safety reasons as social distancing has been identified as key to stopping the spread of the coronavirus pandemic.
This virus is affecting most countries. The best thing is what the Lagos State government has done, and even the federal government, by asking us to close down schools.
When we heard of it last week, we quickly switched into action and we told the children why they should stay at home.
Even with the closure, some schools have plans to use the digital platforms to engage pupils and students.
We're going to be having virtual lessons with our children in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
For schools that cannot engage their students through technology, teachers are calling on parents to fill the gap by ensuring that their children and wards study at home. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Now, those are the stories from Lagos at this hour. Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja after the break.
Africa is a land of opportunities. There's no better time to be and become an entrepreneur in Africa.
When I got my seed capital, it was just an idea. I didn't even have a business. There was no happy coffee.
Right now, we are employing 22 young people.
De recevoir le financement qui m'a aidé à démarrer cette activité et aider beaucoup.
Having been an entrepreneur myself, let me help to create more. That is the driving force behind the 28 Melu Foundation. No one but us will develop Africa. We need to look inward to see how we can share prosperity.
The future of Africa is in your hands.
Una no vex. Una never hear of coronavirus. Prevention is better past cure. See this thing, hand sanitizer. Now one way to take prevent coronavirus with that. See, another one we say we go wash our hands clean with soap and with water. Another one we say when we want sneeze, I mean we want cough. Oh yeah, may we dab together. Correct people. If you see say you get symptom of fever or difficulty in breathing, I beg, make you day your day, make you sit down. Nigeria, our culture they promote cleanliness. Let the celebration start.
This message is from NTA and NCAC.
My name is Giato Adeza Adams, the General Manager, Corporate and Strategic Communications, Nigerian Port Authority. As regards the land borders closure, available statistical data from APMT, which is one of our terminal operators that is involved in container handling terminal, has recorded an increase of 200 TEUs of cargoes into their terminal as a result of cargo diversion from the vessels originally meant for our neighboring countries. That shows you that the terminal operators is going to have an increase in revenue, which is accrued to the terminal, and at the same time, Nigerian Port Authority will equally benefit from the revenue increase. So that is the benefit we have derived from the border closure.
Many thanks for staying with us. Let's now join Funke Bidamiton live in Ibadan for an update on the first case of coronavirus we know has been recorded in Oyo State and the measures taken so far. Funke, it's over to you. Funke, if you can hear me, I said, what are the measures taken so far to curtail the spread of the virus? We know Oyo State has recorded its first case.
Thank you very much, Ruth. So many measures are being taken here. The Oyo State government is not resting on it, or as to ensure that there is no spread of coronavirus here. Yes, having confirmed one case here in Oyo State, a task force has been set up led by the Oyo State governor himself, Seyi Makinde. And of course, emergency operation centers have been opened, led by Dr. Taiwo Ladipo, with a team of 5 experts who are supposed to be readily available and ensure that there's prompt response to any distress call. 2 emergency lines have been released whereby people are expected to call when they suspect that anybody is coming down with the coronavirus. Indeed, Ibadan is very highly sensitized. The issue of social distance has been entrenched here. People are keeping social distance. You can notice that even in banks, very few people are allowed to come in at one point or the other to ensure that there is no crowding. In our marketplaces, you can see buckets of water and soap and sanitizers, and generally the trajectory here is prevention is better than cure. So everybody is on their toes to ensure that that one case is not spread.
All right, thank you very much, Funke. Indeed, prevention is better than cure, and it's good that sensitization is at its top gear there. And residents of the Federal Capital Territory have been advised to inculcate personal hygiene as well as develop the culture of regular hand washing as a way of combating the spread of the dreaded COVID-19. The Minister of State FCT, Ramatu Tijani Aliyu, gave this advice at a community sensitization rally in Aleta in Abuja Municipal Area Council. Let's hear from Ifanye Zumba.
It is said that hand washing is the single most effective way to prevent the spread of diseases. FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliyu, represented by the General Manager FCT Water Board Engineer Aliu Ahmad, explained that the essence of the campaign was to raise awareness and educate communities on the danger of coronavirus.
We are going community by community to make sure that people are enlightened so that they can adhere to this campaign.
The Executive Director, Number 2 Initiative for a Healthy Environment, Fatih Abubakar, said the rally is a grassroots intervention to create awareness on the importance of hand washing.
We decided to come up with a way we can still reach the grassroots to sensitize them on the importance of washing their hands, most especially at this time that the world is facing the coronavirus pandemic. It will surprise you to know that a lot of people we have met in this community have not even heard of the coronavirus because they do not have access to television or internet. So such intervention, I feel, is very important.
The initiative to embark on community sensitization cannot be coming at a better time than now. FCT administration says all hands must be on deck to keep disease burden down and put the nation on the path to sustainable development. The rally was organized by the Number 2 Initiative for a Healthy Environment. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NT News.
And Kaduna is our next stop nationwide as we join Zulay there, and I'm sure she'll give us an update on what's happening in Kaduna. Zulay?
We sure have an update on what's happening. Religious leaders in Kaduna State have asked their followers to comply with the directives of the authorities restricting worship in large gatherings to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Muhammad Umar Ajengi has the details.
On a normal day, Muslim faithful observe their Jumu'at prayer in congregations in the mosques. Sent by their Christian counterparts in churches. Since the discovery of coronavirus pandemic, measures have been taken by government at all levels to break the channels of transmission of this deadly disease. Hence the restriction on religious gatherings in worship centers, among other things, to checkmate the spread of the disease. A decision welcomed by the clergy.
The measures we are trying to take is for people to worship in their own houses, because God hears and answers prayers wherever you are.
This meeting was convened by the Kaduna State government to educate imams and pastors on the need to take the campaign against coronavirus to their followers.
So it is according to the religion teachings that the lives of people are more important than everything. Because if you are healthy and you are alive, that is where you can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
The religious leaders advise citizens to remain calm and pray for God's intervention over the pandemic. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umarajingi, NTA News.
Anti-security matters, Nigerian Air Force says it will continue to apply new skills on air and ground operations in synergy with other security services to disseminate all threats to national defense and security. Air Officer Commanding Ground Training Command, Air Vice Marshal Idi Amin, stated this at the graduation of Special Forces trained on interagency collaboration for fighting crime. Suleiman Abdullah Hirgachukum reports.
These are special forces drawn from the Air Force and Nigerian Army for a 2-week training on new trends of integrated strategies and tactics of ground and air warfare, including fast trophy, extraction and insertion, which involves supply of medicals, ammunition, uniforms, and other support to fighting forces.
Like in the case of the situation that we are having in the IDP camps, if the route to where they are is being threatened by enemy activities, food and other relief material can equally be dropped for them.
The training is in collaboration with a United States company, which is also equipped with the regiment specialties of new methods of protecting critical military assets and avoidance of casualties during combat operations. 40 regiment personnel underwent specialized course with another 34 for recurrent training. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullah Hirgachikun, NTA News.
And that's a bit from here. We're back to Rose in Abuja for more nationwide.
Thanks, Zulay. The Nigerian Senate says apart from providing adequate maritime security to protect the nation's economic assets, the Nigerian Navy has shown leadership in implementation of measures at entry points into Nigerian waterways and its formation to prevent spread of COVID-19 in the country. The Senate Committee on Navy stated this during an oversight functions at the Nigerian Navy Eastern Naval Command Headquarters in Calabar. Paul Abel has that report, but we don't have it at the moment, so we'll definitely bring it to you in our subsequent bulletin. Let's look at another story. Minister of Works Babatunde Fashola has assured that the federal government will deliver the Port Harcourt-Aba Express Road project on schedule to alleviate the inconveniences of motorists. The minister made the commitment during an on-the-spot inspection of the project in Port Harcourt. Robinson Deraitede will tell us more.
The River State section of the Port Harcourt-Enugu Road, which was awarded in 2015 and dualized to 8 lanes in 2018, is about 9 kilometers long. The project is expected to reduce the traffic congestion along the Aba-Port Harcourt Road. Residents appeal to the government to fast-track the completion of the project.
They should, speed up their work space.
They're doing a standard job, but they are delaying the job.
The Minister of Works inspected the section between Imo River and Oyigbo Junction, where about 3.5 kilometers have been achieved in the first 4 lanes.
That there has to be a trade-off. We want to build bigger and better and safer and wider roads here.
Residents whose buildings were affected in the construction were assured of adequate compensations. Contractors promised that before the rains begin, 55% of the project will be achieved. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Deraitede, NTA News.
We know Edo State has recorded its first case of coronavirus, so let's go to Benin to find out what the situation is like, and Obehi will lead us.
Hello, Ruth. Yes, and welcome to Benin. Edo State has joined the growing list of states that has announced a raft of interventions designed to check coronavirus pandemic. A technical committee on COVID-19 to be headed by the state governor has been put in place. Governor Godwin Obaseki disclosed these measures while addressing heads of media organizations at the government house. Goodluck Enaine reports.
Governor Obaseki, while reeling out state government's plans to curb the spread of the virus, emphasized the importance of social distancing policy and the cooperation of members of the public through total compliance to the stay-at-home directive.
Coronavirus is not a death sentence, so there is no need to panic. With swift identification and proper management and care, many persons who have been infected with the virus have made full recoveries. If we all work together and take the right precautions, it is possible to cope with this virus.
He urged the public to alert the COVID-19 Action Plan Committee of any suspected case. In an interview, the Chief Medical Director, Irwa Specialist Teaching Hospital, Professor Silvanus Okogbeni, confirmed first confirmed case in Edo State.
Again, CDC said that, and it's correct. And diagnosis has been made. And like I said with the governor just now, it's already been isolated and receiving treatment, and we do expect him to get better.
Meanwhile, at another press briefing, the Nigerian Medical Association Edo State chapter is urging government at all levels to provide adequate protective kits for health workers who manage patients with the virus. In Benin, Goodluck Enaine, NT News.
And away from the coronavirus update to security, Nigerian Army is seeking collaboration and support of the Ekiti State government in recruitment of qualified personnel and training for the success of its force in counter-terrorism and service to the nation. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuko Buratai, said this during the Army delegation's visit to Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi in Ado Ekiti. Kola Adobibuyi reports.
The Chief of Army Staff delegation led by the Director, Directorate of Army Resettlement and Reserve, Brigadier General Emmanuel Akpan, were on the tour of the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory to educate the public on special forces concepts that will be integrated in non-Nigerian Army training institutions to strengthen the system.
The essence is to ensure that every Nigerian Army personnel is versatile, can adapt and function efficiently in any operating environment.
Governor Kayode Fayemi spoke through his deputy, Otumba Bisegbeyemi, commended the Nigerian Army for its feat in protecting the nation from external forces and successes in tackling insecurity.
What you are doing for us is great. That was why we are clamoring that they should give you sophisticated weapons so that you can combat the marauders.
The delegation later met with various youth individuals and groups at the government house at Dogeti on an interactive session to sensitize them on the modalities and necessary requirements to be enlisted into the Nigerian Army to fill Ekiti State quota in the force whenever recruitments commence. In Ado Ekiti, Kola Adebobuyi, NT News.
And that's it from Benin. Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja.
Thank you, Obehi. The Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talon, has donated relief materials to a baby rescued from a suspected ritualist. Ngozi Teknikio Silva reports that the items was received by the Chief Medical Director of the National Hospital, Abuja, where the baby is hospitalized.
This cry resonates from the Children Emergency Unit of the National Hospital, where a 10-month-old baby, fondly called Unknown Baby, is undergoing treatment. On this special day, the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talon, reached out to the baby with basic items for his upkeep. The good goodwill was also extended to other indigent children.
The Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, as a mother and a woman in charge of Ministry of Women Affairs in the Federation, was touched, and she came to see the baby live.
The minister in an interview said the visit was propelled by the unfortunate circumstances surrounding baby unknown.
Not fair. No child should be abused. No child, we say no to child abuse, we say no to child neglect. Police are being investigated because the whole story sounds very strange.
It was gathered that the baby unknown case is still under investigation by the police. In Abuja, Ngozi Silva, Technical, NTA News.
Very sad there. Sokoto and Zamfara states have closed down schools. Let's join Abdurrahman in our Sokoto Network Center for details.
As part of measures to curtail and contain the spread of COVID-19, schools in Sokoto State have closed indefinitely. Musa Abubakar, who went round the metropolis, has details.
These are SS3 students of Government Girls Day Secondary School, Runjan Sambo, who were asked to return home in compliance with the authorities' decision to close down schools for the time being.
We asked to come back when they call us back.
Why did they give you holiday?
For the coronavirus disease.
It was only the SS3 students that came to school this morning, and they were told to come to school on Monday because of this recent pandemic of coronavirus. Most of the schools were closed since last week.
The closure extends to tertiary institutions in the state where academic activities have stopped and the schools deserted. Lessons continue here for the Almajiri schools in the state, while the authorities are yet to decide on their closure.
The schools that we are yet to know what will happen to them. Work closely with the Ministry of Education to see how we can implement.
For now, the message remains wash hands frequently and maintain social distancing, amongst other measures. In Sokoto, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Still on COVID-19, Kebbi State government has taken steps to prevent the spread of coronavirus in the state. Apart from closure of schools, sensitization of rural settlements is also ongoing. Nura Tanko Akili has the report.
Following the directives of the Kebbi State government to close schools, both public and private schools were seen complying with the directives, with students returning home on the orders of the school administrators.
They closed our school because of coronavirus.
Because of coronavirus, they closed our school. Now we are not going back again until they solve the solution.
Some of us are happy while some of us are not happy. Because we're supposed to write exam. But now they say that we're not going to write exam until we resume.
But this is a proactive measure by the state government to control contact and spread of the pandemic, in line with the position of other key actors in the system.
I appeal to the parents that they should make sure that the wards are studying their books, that immediately they come, they will face an examination.
Meanwhile, wife of Kebbi State Governor Haji Aishatu Atiku Bagudu has embarked on sensitization to Fulani settlements and Almajiri schools on the dangers of COVID-19 and proactive measures against the virus. She was in Augia and Birnin Kebbi local government areas, where she also presented sanitizers and other sanitary materials to the targeted groups. The Kebbi State Minister of Health has also embarked on screening of passengers coming in and going out of the state through Sir Ahmadu Bello International Airport, Birnin Kebbi, as part of proactive measures. In Birnin Kebbi, Nura Tanko Akili, NTA News.
That's it from here. Nationwide continues after these messages.
Nigerians, coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. life. Live long, live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
We have 4 girls and 2 boys. Stephen is my younger brother. I was called on 8th of May that he had an accident. While he was on call, he came out to buy fruit that will sustain him to the next morning.
We do appreciate you staying with us. Proper parental guidance and regular sensitization on the dangers of drug abuse have been described as ways to reduce substance abuse in society and the world at large. This was the message of key players in the health sector at a forum on women, youth and drug abuse in Abuja. Elizabeth Omori has that report.
2018 survey by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime shows that as of 2017, the prevalence of drug abuse in Nigeria was estimated at 14.4 million between the ages of 15 to 64 years, against the 2016 global estimate of 5.6% among adult population. 1 in each of 4 of the users is said to be a woman. This is generating concern amongst healthcare givers and governments. To this end, critical players in the health sector converged on Abuja on how to end the menace.
We get them engaged to doing something that will keep them away from drug abuse. So it's a way also we empower them, we sensitize them, we encourage them to get out of it by making sure that they have something engaging them that will keep them away from the drug abuse.
Peer pressure and emotional imbalance. Speakers at the forum highlighted as some of the factors responsible for the scourge.
The younger generation is facing an uphill task, so we need to assist them seriously because socially they've been neglected, educationally, health and family. Family mother was there 24 hours, it's no more that anymore. So we must all put all our hands on deck to assist the society.
Mothers especially should please look down. Who are the friends of your children? Where does your children go? I don't allow my children to go out anyhow. You know, when you impart this caution in them, my dear, nothing else can kind of bend them.
They also advised the government to regulate over-the-counter drugs in order to have a safe and healthy nation. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NT News.
Talking sports facilities locked down in Lagos as part of preventive measures against the spread of COVID-19. Olumide Aguntola has this and more on Sports Update.
National Stadium Lagos is deserted as it's closed from every form of sporting activities in compliance with the directive by the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development that sporting activities at the stadium be put on hold until further notice as a measure to curtail the spread of the coronavirus. Some of the coaches who spoke to NTA News say the move is a welcome development from the federal government to ensure the health and safety of the athletes.
This is for our own sake, for our own safety and the safety of the children we are training.
We have to obey the government, nothing we can do because they are our leaders.
In a related development, football enthusiasts in the country say stricter measures have to be put in place by the authorities to ensure full compliance to the ban of street football in the country in order to prevent the spread of coronavirus.
If only the government can place some policemen or some kind of neighborhood watch on the streets.
It's going to be very tough, but I think the only thing the government can do is to try as much as possible to do an door-to-door campaign.
Meanwhile, the 7th edition of the Nigerian Pitch Awards will be in 16 categories for men and women who distinguished themselves in football for the year 2019. Addressing the media in Lagos, initiator of the awards, Shina Phillips, said the event, which is yet to get a new date due to coronavirus, has become the longest-running football awards in Nigeria history and also ranked among the 10 best awards in Nigeria.
Nigerian Pitch Awards will become part of the bargaining strength of any winner as a player, because the process is true, the process is credible.
In another development, the Authentic Nigerian Football Supporters Club has reaffirmed its commitment towards supporting the country's national teams at all times during the official opening of its secretariat in Lagos.
This is a gallery, this is a museum for the footballers and the sports in general.
The secretariat will add value to the growth of football and proper documentation of the country's football history. With sports update, Olumide Kuntola, NT News.
All right, let's see how Tuesday's weather will look like. We're done, and we do appreciate your company. I'm Ruth Aguela. Bye.